Hi, I'm Luz Leonis, and this is my response to the finance and budget discussion. For the first part of the prompt regarding the author's definitions for adequacy, equality, and equity, I did agree for most of what he says in the book. However, I did have a harder time getting on board behind his definition of high cost schools and with high achievements as being inefficient in using fiscal resources. I was thinking of my own school, my high school where I work at. We have a large amount of students with special needs. They come from low socioeconomic backgrounds. We have a large number of SPED students, 504 students, as well as EBs, emergent bilinguals. But even within our district, we are performing pretty well. So despite the fact that we do require more funding due to the populations of students that we have in our school, I would still say that we are efficient in using those things to provide what they need. So I I would hate for my school to be described as inefficient, as the author says in the book, because I think that if you are using and budgeting correctly, and that is showing in the student achievement, then I would say that that's still an efficient school, right? So it is not the school's fault that we have a large population of students that need more resources, but at least we're not performing very low and also using a lot of things that require higher cost. So I think as long as the student achievement is there, as long as we are using the proper resources for those students and it shows in their achievement, then I think we are being efficient. Another thing that I found interesting was the where was it? The equity, the definitions for horizontal equity and vertical equity. I had never heard of that until the book, reading the chapter. So I had to do a little bit of research online, and a lot of it was regarding tax brackets. So I had to specify what it was in education. So it was very confusing where it says the equal treatment of unequals, that is the vertical equity, versus horizontal equity is the equal treatment of equals. So that was the thing that was just kind of it wasn't clicking in my head. But I do agree with the fact that vertical equity is finding the right and appropriate level of resources for each subgroup in schools and districts. So I would say once again that in my school we have vertical equity and we do provide those resources for students that need them. I also agreed with the other types of equity that the author provides: opportunity and social equity. Once again, thinking about my school, so in our school we cannot control the social equity that goes on. It is not a factor that we are able to control, but I do agree that the funding should be based on what the student needs, and every student deserves a quality education and not just depending on where they live. So that was the main thing for equity. And then equality, for everything that the author stated in equality, I agreed with. The racial part of it, the gender equality, as well as the equality for students with disabilities, all of those acts, I think those were great things that the federal government established. And but the one thing that I think affected me the most and really stuck with me from the book was the undocumented children. So I was an undocumented child. Both my sister and we were brought here. I was 7, my sister was 10. So I think it is very important that the Supreme Court stated that these children were not, that they were brought basically against their will. So you're just a child, you're moving with your parents wherever they go. So I think that was a very important decision, to making sure that every student, no matter if they're illegal aliens or not, that they have access to an education while living here in the United States. So and that was the Supreme Court. And then for the second part of the prompt, so the big thing that we had been discussing in our school and district was our teacher or races in general. So, but of course, me as a teacher, it was very highly concentrated on if teachers were going to receive a raise this year. So I believe that school funding is still being debated in Austin. The state hasn't decided on what they're going to do, if they're going to provide raises for teachers or not. But actually today, our district approved a 2.5% raise for teachers. So, and that is retroactively. So we will be receiving that pay. Thank you.